back to the game that we still keep trying to not talk about. One moment near the end was curious to me, Peter. The Panthers, on a drive that included a 1st and 30 that they somehow converted. You showed the play earlier, I think, of the 4th and 6 that that drive that Bryce Young managed to convert. There were a couple penalties that would have extended that drive as well. It's 4th and 10, and the Panthers are down by 3, and you either go for it or you kick a 59-yard field goal. At Soldier Field, not in a dome, not in Denver, at Soldier Field in November. And the reaction from Eddie Pinheiro was great because they show him and he's just kind of like, well, what do you expect? Like, hey, it's 59 yards. It's Soldier Field. It's November. I gave it my best shot. So I want to hear from Frank Reich. There it is. There, what do you know? Hey, what do you do? What can you do? It's 59 yards. It's Soldier Field. They send me out. I kick the ball. What do you expect? It's going to be good. It's 59 yards in Soldier Field. Here's Frank Reich after the game talking about the decision to send Eddie Pinheiro out there to miss a 59-yard field goal.
It was a tough decision, and honestly, as far as percentages, I felt like the percentages, I listened to what everybody had, listened to the analytics guys, talked to Coach Tabes. There was mixed opinions about what we should do. That's my call. I've seen us make 60-yarders in practice. Felt like there was a little bit of a breeze at our back. If you just look at the pure percentages, I think the pure percentage play is to kick it. It's the 4th and 10 conversion is probably 30% conversion, and the 60-yard field goal is higher than that. Do I second guess myself over it? I mean, yeah, after we missed it, yeah, I did. You know what I mean? Because the one reason why maybe you go for it there, even though the percentage play is to kick it, if you're just going pure percentages, is to kick it, is because if we make it, we still have a chance to win the game and not just tie. There was still time left. It wasn't like there was 20 seconds to go. So yeah, that thought did go through my mind.
But the idea that there's a greater than 30% chance to make a 60-yard field goal, I don't, in my own brain, carry around an impression that a 60-yard field goal is a 3 out of 10 proposition. And here's the other side of it, too. Where are they kicking 60-yard field goals? Where do you try 60-yard field goals? Not at Soldier Field in November. So that stat is driven by data that is skewed by Denver and domes. Look, I just think that at some point you got to set aside all the analytics and say, hang on, we got 4th and 10, we're down 3. And if they hadn't burned a timeout when they didn't need to a couple plays earlier, it would have been even easier to just go for it because we got 3 timeouts. If we don't make it, we can maybe get the ball back. But I think it's a no-brainer. You go for it there, 4th and 10. You can get illegal contact, defensive holding. There's all sorts of ways that drive can extend. We saw the last 4th down, 2 different holding penalties on the last 4th down that they converted. I don't know in what world. It kind of reminded me of Nathaniel Hackett after week 1 last year when he was trying to set Brandon McManus up for some ridiculously long field goal, that's why he did what he did.
Yeah.
Some ridiculous
64 yards or something.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Frank, I'll take my 3 out of 10 shot at converting 4th and 10 over sending a guy out onto the turf of Soldier Field in November to make a 59-yard field goal, which came up well short. Were they watching him kick 60? I mean, if Frank Reich would have said during that clip, well, you know what, Eddie Pinheiro was banging him through from 70 before the game, then okay. But I don't get it. And, I don't want to be overly critical here. You got to make a decision quickly. There's just a chance he made a bad decision.
Look, here's the reason I would have gone for it. Definitely. And I made a note of this this morning when I was thinking about, I knew we were going to talk about it. Early in the 4th quarter, Panthers had 4th and 6 at the Bears 36. they choose to go for it. And obviously that would have been a shorter field goal. But they choose to go for it, and Bryce Young converts to Tommy Tremble. First down. Okay? Then on this same drive, they have a 4th and 1 at their own 18. And they choose to go for it, and Bryce Young scrambles for it. They have a 4th and 2 at the 2-minute warning. And Bryce Young throws to Miles Sanders and gains 13. So I question whether you've got a 30% chance to make 4th and 10 in that situation. I bet it isn't quite that. I'd love to hear the reason why it's a 30% chance. I would have thought it was a little bit less. But still, I would have gone for it on 4th and 10 because my quarterback he may not be the best quarterback in the league, but he is a confident, cool guy who'd converted 3 4th downs in this quarter alone. And so I would have gone for it. But, Mike, I'm just going to make this point about this entire argument. Let's just say they go for it, they make it, they come down, they win. What really has changed about the Carolina Panthers? You got confidence because maybe you made a great drive at a tough place to win on the road against a good pass rush. I get it. But, it's like Juju Smith-Schuster. The Browns is the Browns. They're still going to be a team in need of incredible infusion of talent this offseason.
You're absolutely right, Peter, but I was thinking of something just as you said that. And this is one of the reasons why analytics has a place, but analytics at times needs to take a back seat, or let's say analytics needs to be stuffed in the trunk when you consider other factors, such as how the game is going, how your team is playing, what your gut feel is, where you're playing the game. There are a lot of things, and the analytics crowd will say, oh, that's covered. Oh, that's covered in the calculations. Oh, that's covered. Oh, that. Okay, baloney. It all can't be covered in these calculations. We can't reduce life to a mathematical equation. And here's the biggest thing that could have come from that. They go for it on 4th and 10. They don't make it. No big deal. You move on. You go for it. You make it. Maybe you win the game. Your quarterback, who is currently feeling at some level of his being like he's letting the Panthers down, like he's not the guy he needs to be, like his good friend C.J. Stroud is clearly better than him. Wouldn't that be a nice shot of confidence? Wouldn't that be like a B12 shot for George Costanza if Bryce Young had converted that last night and driven down the rest of the way and finished the job and won the game? It was an opportunity squandered by the Panthers to give Bryce Young a chance to take a step closer to what they need him to be. Win or lose, who cares? Here's an opportunity for a quarterback who's been beaten down by the comparisons to C.J. Stroud to do something that makes people say, hey, you know what? Maybe the Panthers didn't screw it all up. That's where the problem is in the decision that was made in that moment by Frank Reich.
Yeah, and I get that. And as I say, look, Mike, when in the first 10 minutes of the show, I said, listen, get off the ledge, Carolina fans. I saw stuff last night, and look, my expectations were very low coming into that game about anything I was going to see in a positive way about either Bryce Young or the Panthers. But all things considered, I like what I saw from Bryce Young last night. And the reason I did is that he understands that he's in an avalanche, that he's not going to be protected well. And yet he made a bunch of plays in this game. He made a bunch of plays on 4th down. He made other plays. He missed some, but I just think, look, this is a guy who got pressured 8 times by Montez Sweat in this game, who was really constantly under pressure. But he just comes back and he keeps swinging. That is what you want in your quarterback. And so to me, I'm not saying he's going to make it. He's going to be great. I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is that the worst thing that you can do, if you wake up this morning and look, nobody, if you're David Tepper and you wake up this morning and you're just thinking awful thoughts, because he has been a bit of a knee-jerk owner in his time. I compared him to Mark Davis. Mark Davis's average coach lasts about 10 minutes. Stop changing coaches so often. And again, look, we get into Mark Davis. I understand they're better off without Josh McDaniels. I totally get that. But at some point, you've got to stop the merry-go-round. And that's why if you're the Carolina Panthers, your ownership, your management, you're the coaching staff, take a deep breath and say, we don't have our pieces in place. Trust the process. And that's how I would look at it if I'm Carolina.
We got a great glimpse of the personality and impatience that oozes from David Tepper last night when the camera found him in his luxury suite, and he was pissed. That's usually a reaction you don't see. It's usually just kind of muted and you just go about your business, try not to pick your nose. Right. He was pissed. Yeah. He was irritated. I mean, this guy just holds on to life a little too tight, and it served him well. Multi-billionaire hedge fund manager. That's great. But in this setting, it's just a little bit too much. It's obvious to anyone who's watching. It's too intense. It's too stiff. It's too pissed off all the time, and it's not going to be successful. And there it is right on cue. He's like, no, God, why are you doing this, people? Oh, no. Serenity now. Sir, look at it. Look, what are they doing? Look. They've got this TV camera. What are they doing here? It's like they're taking shots of him in his bathroom on the commode. You're sitting in your luxury suite at a game. What do you expect? You own the team. If you don't want to be on TV as an owner of a team, why the hell did you buy a team? It's one of the things that goes along with buying a team. Oh, my gosh. All right. I want to hear a little bit from Bryce Young.
Show that on a loop 16 times.
So here's Bryce Young after the game. Not nearly as irritated as David Tepper when he was seen sitting in his luxury suite at the game last night.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.